So hi, hello, and welcome again. Microbehunter here. Well, people in the past asked me quite frequently, what is your favorite microorganism? What is your favorite microbe? Honestly, I always had to say, well, actually, I don't have one, but maybe things are going to change now because today I would like to talk about slime molds, and maybe I'm going to declare those slime molds as my favorite microorganism, at least from now on. They're extremely fascinating and very interesting to observe. And you don't even need a fancy microscope. Stereo microscopes are also fine. And if you don't have a microscope at all, then it's also quite interesting to grow them and to observe them. Well, what I've done is the following. I bought myself a slime mold online for quite a cheap price. And I was sent a small pieces of paper with some yellow dry stuff on that, and that is the slime mold. And essentially what I had to do then is I had to kind of bring it back to life by placing it on some filter paper. So what I've done is I cut out some filter paper and basically from a coffee filter, added a little bit of water, and I placed this a tiny piece of paper with a slime mold on the filter paper, and then you have to feed it. And you do that by adding a little bit of oat, some cereals, right next to the slime mold. This is basically what the instructions also said, but I was not successful. And basically today in the video, I would like to share with you a little bit some of my experiences with growing those slime molds and also how I basically observed them using my microscope. Well, why was it not successful for me at the beginning? Well, essentially the whole thing started to smell very badly and the slime mold did not grow. Everything was slimy for sure, but not because of the slime mold, but because there's so many bacteria were growing on the slime mold. So basically the bacteria were kind of choking up the slime mold and it could not develop. Why did that happen? Well, essentially, I think the reason is because I did not give the slime mold enough time to come back to life. What I've done is I took this little piece of paper, put it on the filter paper with some water, and immediately added the food. And this kind of gave the bacteria, the contaminants, a head start, because it does take a couple of hours for the dry slime mold to actually reactivate. This dry form is called the sclerosium, and essentially it does take a little bit of time for this sclerosium to absorb the water and for the cells to become active again and so on. And I did not give it that time, and for this reason everything started to smell pretty badly, and everything was covered in bacteria. And I essentially wanted to check a little bit under the microscope how it looks like, and sure enough there were thousands and thousands of tiny bacteria. The larger slime mold cells were also visible. However, they did not have any chance of properly reproducing, and so the whole thing simply didn't work and I had to throw it away. And after a couple of days, as a matter of fact, I was waiting and it did not work out. So I basically had to redo everything again. And this time, the second time, I was actually quite successful. What I've done is I placed this piece of paper with the sclerosium with a dry slime mold, again in the center of a petri dish. And I've given it a few hours of head start. So basically, I just waited for a few hours. I could actually see that this dry slime mold started to absorb the water. It started to change its texture a little bit. And then I added the oats and the cereals, and then actually it worked. I could actually see how this slime mold then started to devour the cereal and the food and started to also move around and crawl around. So quite nice to see. And from that point onward, I was totally fascinated by that. And I decided then to actually also grow it even further and to also experiment a little bit with its slime mold. Those slime molds essentially they are always looking for food. And if you give it some food to eat, then they're immediately going to start covering the food, but then they start spreading apart and spreading out, looking for new food. So they're actually moving. And I made some videos with that, and I played it back in time-lapse, and I could actually see that there is this interesting, strange pulsating movement going on. Yeah, so you don't see that so much when you look at it normally, but under the microscope and when you take a long video and when you play it back faster, then you see that the slime mold starts to pulsate. That's actually quite a well-documented thing, and it's because the slime mold actually produces certain chemicals, and these chemicals are kind of spreading inside the slime mold. They're kind of used for internal communication, and in each wave of these chemicals, the slime mold starts to contract and to pulsate. Yeah, and this is basically also a way how it moves forward. And those slime molds are also interesting because actually they're an interesting in-between form between single-celled and multicellular organisms. Because there are individual slime mold cells, and what they do is they kind of fuse together, and then they make this gigantic mass, which is actually one single cell. Because it fuses together, and in this mass you have thousands of individual nuclei. So under the compound microscope, you're not even able to see, in that stage, you're not even able to see anymore the individual cells, because it's just one gigantic mass of something which kind of moves forward. So actually you can say it's just like one big cell containing thousands of tiny nuclei. Of course, I had to experiment around a little bit. So what I've done is I've added some rice grains to the slime mold. You could actually then see how the slime mold started to devour the rice grain, and then it started to spread further. Yeah, and there are plenty of experiments that you can do with that. And basically, I've also tried to put the slime mold on agar plates. So I've not used filter paper, but I made some agar plates, which also worked quite nicely. And then you could actually see that the slime mold started to kind of travel along this agar plate, and was trying to find a new food. And then if you want to reproduce it, again, I took some toothpicks and I transferred the slime mold again on new food. So there are plenty of things that you can essentially do with that little slime mold. Yeah, so in summary, I just wanted to share that with you. If you also want to do that, then I simply can give you a little bit of the advice that you add the food a little bit later, maybe after a couple of hours, after you've added the water to the slime mold. Otherwise, you're going to have a real issue with bacterial growth. But I think that's all I would like to share with you. Leave your comments, and I guarantee you that this is not the last video that I'm going to make with slime molds, because there are a couple of interesting experiments as well that I could think of, which I'm going to share with you in one of the upcoming videos. So that you don't miss out on that, of course, it would be a nice if you would subscribe to this channel as well, and click the like button. This way you can actually also support the channel. I'm going to leave it at that. Yeah, I wish you all the best. Happy microbe hunting as always, and see you around next time. Bye bye.